There's been a new development in the Coldplay Kiss Cam saga that's gone viral around the world. Astronomer CEO Andy Byron has resigned.
A $35 million divorce, the immediate resignation from a billion-dollar company, a reputation shattered in front of 50 million people online. This is the catastrophic price Andy Byron paid for a Kiss Cam moment. But instead of taking the blame, he is aiming a $50 million lawsuit at the man who narrated his downfall, the one and only Chris Martin. The comment heard round the world. The story begins on a warm summer night, specifically July 16th at Gillette Stadium in Boston. The air was electric, filled with the sound of 65,000 fans singing along to a Coldplay classic. On stage, Chris Martin was in his element, a master showman connecting with every single person in the massive venue. And then, as it often does at big events, the giant screen shifted to the Kiss Cam, a lighthearted segment meant to bring a few laughs. The camera panned through the crowd, showing happy couples, before it landed on two people who looked anything but happy to be seen together. They were Andy Byron, the chief executive officer of a billion-dollar tech company called Astronomer, and Kristen Cat, the company's director of human resources. Here's the thing, they were both married but not to each other. As the camera zoomed in, their reaction was not playful embarrassment, it was pure panic. They awkwardly shifted, trying to hide their faces from the lens and the tens of thousands of watching eyes. From the stage, Chris Martin saw the whole thing unfold. With a microphone in his hand and a bit of a playful smirk, he delivered a line that would become instantly iconic. He told her, or they were just very shy. The stadium erupted in laughter, a momentary joke during a night of music. Little did anyone know that single, off-the-cuff comment was not just a joke. It was a lit match dropped into a puddle of gasoline. The moment was fleeting, lasting only a few seconds at the concert. But in the age of smartphones, nothing is ever truly gone. That clip, that look of sheer panic on their faces, paired with Chris Martin's perfectly timed observation, was already being uploaded to the internet before the band even finished their next song. A tidal wave was forming online, ready to crash down and obliterate everything in its path. What happened in that stadium was just the spark, but a digital inferno was about to be unleashed, one that would burn down a corporate empire and several lives along with it. In the hours and days that followed the concert, the clip did not just go viral, it went nuclear. It exploded across every social media platform imaginable, from Twitter to TikTok to Instagram. We are talking about 50 million views in what felt like the blink of an eye. The internet, in its own relentless way, became the judge, jury, and executioner. Andy Byron and Kristen Cat were no longer private citizens. They were the main characters in the internet's favorite new drama. Endless memes were born. Their panicked faces were photoshopped into famous movie scenes. The audio of Chris Martin's voice saying either they're having an affair or they're just very shy became a trending sound on TikTok, used in countless videos by people pointing out other awkward situations. The public roasting was brutal and swift. People from all over the world weighed in, dissecting their body language and declaring them guilty without a trial. They were not just accused, they were convicted in the court of public opinion. The consequences of this digital storm were devastating and incredibly fast. This was not just online chatter anymore, it was a real-world catastrophe unfolding in real time. For Andy Byron, the CEO of Astronomer, the pressure became unbearable. His professional reputation, built over years of hard work, was being torn to shreds by strangers online. His name was now a joke, a hashtag, a synonym for getting caught. The same was true for Kristen Cat, whose career in human resources was now stained by a very public, very messy scandal. Their digital footprint was forever changed. Before this, a search for Andy Byron's name would bring up articles about his success in the tech world. Now, it brought up an avalanche of gossip, memes, and articles about the alleged affair. They were caught red-handed, and the entire world was watching, laughing, and sharing. The story had everything the internet loves: a little bit of drama, a touch of scandal, and a celebrity at the center of it all. But while the internet was having its fun, the real-world fallout was just beginning to take shape, and it was about to hit with the force of a hurricane. The shockwaves from the viral clip hit the corporate offices of Astronomer like an earthquake. A billion-dollar tech company, a titan in its industry, suddenly found itself at the center of a humiliating public relations nightmare. The phones were ringing off the hook, reporters were digging for information, and inside the company, there was chaos. Believe it or not, the office rumors had been swirling about Andy and Kristen for months. Some colleagues reportedly were not surprised by the affair itself. They were just shocked that it had been exposed in such a spectacular and public fashion. The board of directors had to act fast. Their CEO and HR director had become a global laughingstock, and their personal drama was now a massive liability for the company. Within a staggering 72 hours of the concert, the decision was made. Both Andy Byron and Kristen Catt tendered their resignations, which the board of directors quickly accepted. In less than 3 days, a billion-dollar company had lost its top leader and a key executive, all because of one kiss cam moment. This was not just a personnel change, it was a crisis. The company had to put out a statement trying to control the narrative and reassure investors and employees that everything was under control. They quickly named an interim CEO, Pete DeJoy, to step in and try to clean up the monumental mess. His first job was to steer the ship through this unprecedented storm, a task that no business school could ever prepare someone for. The culture inside Astronomer was shaken. How could employees trust the leadership when the leaders themselves were the source of such a scandal? For Andy Byron, this was a fall from grace of epic proportions. He was at the top of the corporate ladder, a powerful and respected figure in the tech world. Now he was unemployed, his career in shambles. The empire he had helped build was now trying to distance itself from him as quickly as possible. The very foundation of his professional life had crumbled beneath his feet. Yet, as his company was scrambling to contain the damage, Andy Byron's personal world was facing an even more violent and costly explosion: the $35 million betrayal. The public humiliation was one thing, but the private fallout for Andy Byron was a whole other level of disaster. His wife, Megan Byron, did not just file for divorce, she went for the jugular. Blindsided and deeply humiliated by her husband's actions being broadcast to the world, she reportedly made a staggering demand. She wanted $35 million, or a 5% lifetime stake in his company, as punishment for what he had done. It was a clear message. He had destroyed her life publicly, and she was going to make him pay for it privately. This is where the story gets even juicier, with details that have been kept under wraps until now. Truth be told, the whispers about Andy's behavior were not new, especially among the elite circles he traveled in. There were persistent rumors about a secret getaway, a small, privately owned island in the Caribbean known to a select few as Serenity Cay. This was not a company retreat. It was an exclusive playground where the normal rules did not seem to apply. Insiders now suggest that this island was where the affair between Andy and Kristen truly blossomed, far away from prying eyes. The island was said to be the ultimate symbol of wealth and secrecy, a place with pristine beaches, luxury villas, and a staff that knew to be discreet. It was here, allegedly, that Andy would entertain special guests, and the lines between professional and personal life would become completely blurred. The kiss cam at the Coldplay concert did not create the affair. It just accidentally dragged what was happening on that secret island out into the harsh light of day for the whole world to see. This hidden detail makes the betrayal feel even deeper and the public exposure even more ironic. He had a secret world, but a public mistake cost him everything. With his reputation destroyed, his career over, and now facing a divorce demand that could cripple him financially, Andy Byron was backed into a corner. He was a man who had lost control of his own story. So he did the one thing no one could have possibly predicted. He decided to blame the rock star. With his world crumbling around him, Andy pointed the finger not at himself, but at the man on the stage, Chris Martin. Backed against a wall, Andy Byron decided to go on the offensive. He started threatening to file a massive $50 million lawsuit against Chris Martin and the entire band, Coldplay. The basis for his claim was wild. He argued that they had invaded his privacy, caused him severe emotional distress, and turned him into a meme without his consent. He was essentially trying to argue that Chris Martin's one-sentence observation from the stage was the root cause of his life falling apart. When news of this potential lawsuit reached Chris Martin, sources close to the singer said his reaction was not one of concern or anger. Instead, he literally laughed out loud. He could not believe that someone would try to sue a performer over a standard kiss cam moment at a public concert. And honestly, Chris had every right to laugh because legal experts immediately began weighing in, calling Andy's threatened lawsuit completely frivolous and absolutely hopeless. Here is the reality check that Andy Byron apparently needs. When you purchase a ticket to a concert, you are, in almost all cases, agreeing to the terms and conditions printed on it. And those terms almost always state that you can be filmed or photographed as part of the event. Every single ticket and every single venue has warnings that cameras are rolling. Legal experts were quick to point out that there is zero expectation of privacy when you are in a public place surrounded by 65,000 other people. You simply cannot get caught on camera in a compromising position and then cry invasion of privacy when you chose to be there in the first place. Furthermore, to win a defamation case, Andy would have to prove that Chris Martin's comment about an affair was false. This would require him to publicly and officially deny that he and Kristen were having an affair. But here is the kicker. Neither Andy Byron nor Kristen Cat has ever actually denied it. Their silence on the matter speaks volumes and would make any defamation claim nearly impossible to win in court. Even his own lawyers probably told him that actually filing the lawsuit would be career game over, opening him up to even more public scrutiny. But when word of this unbelievable lawsuit and the legal community's reaction finally reached Chris Martin, his own response was even more savage than anyone could have predicted. Chris Martin did not just laugh off the lawsuit threat in private, he decided to have some fun with it in public. He handled the entire situation like the seasoned legend he is. At subsequent Coldplay concerts, he began playfully trolling Andy Byron without ever having to say his name. He would take a moment between songs to warn the audience with a mischievous grin that filming was always in progress at the shows and that by being there, they all consented to being on camera. The crowd, who were all in on the joke, would cheer loudly. The man turned a $50 million legal threat into a running gag for his world tour. He did not release a stuffy legal statement or get into a war of words. He just let his actions and his sense of humor do the talking. He essentially told the world he was unbothered, painting Andy Byron as a ridiculous figure trying to blame others for his own bad choices. In the court of public opinion, Chris Martin was not just winning, he was running up the score. His laid-back rock star attitude was the perfect counterpoint to Andy's desperate and chaotic downfall. Meanwhile, the lives of those at the center of the scandal continued to unravel. Astronomer is still trying to recover under its interim CEO, Pete DeJoy. Andy Byron and Kristen Cat are both unemployed, their careers likely damaged for good, and they are navigating their own separate and messy divorce proceedings. That $50 million lawsuit against Coldplay remains what it always was, just a threat. A desperate shot in the dark from a man who had lost everything and was looking for anyone else to blame. This whole insane story has sparked a huge conversation about workplace affairs, the nature of privacy in our hyper-connected world, and the terrifying power of one viral moment to destroy everything a person has built. It is a cautionary tale for the modern age. If you are going to do something you should not be doing, maybe do not do it at a Coldplay concert with 65,000 potential witnesses and a rock star on stage ready to provide the commentary. The stage is now set for a legal battle that might never actually happen, but the fallout from that one night in Boston is far from over. The dust is still settling from this incredible implosion. So who is truly at fault when a private moment becomes public entertainment? Smash that like button if you think Chris Martin's response was perfect, and subscribe because this drama is far from over.